Okay, hello everyone. Ang lecture natin, Experimental Psychology. Gusto kong i-discuss yung summarized history of experimental psychology. As you can see here, ginamit ko yung word na summarize. Ibig sabihin, hindi ko naman mababanggit lahat ng nangyari sa history of experimental psychology. I-discuss ko lang dito yung mga major events in the field. If you want to have a more comprehensive discussion kung ano talagang specific na nangyari sa history of experimental psychology, I highly recommend basa kayo ng ibang textbooks na yan talaga yung focus. So again, in this lecture, summarized version ito. Basahin ko lang itong Malakay chapter 3, verse 10. Bring the full tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and thereby put me to the test. Ulitin ko yun ha. Put me to the test, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour down for you a blessing until there is no more need. As always, as I go along, i-connect natin ito mamaya sa main idea ng summarized history of experimental psychology. So simulan natin, bakit ba kailangan pag-aralan ang kasaysayan ng experimental psychology? Bilang isang psych major, ano dapat ang sagot mo dyan? Ang simpleng sagot dyan kasi nakalagay yan sa course syllabus. Halos lahat ng hanapin mong course syllabus sa experimental psychology, kasama talaga dyan yung topic na pag-aaralan mo, yung historical development of the field. So yun yung malalim na sagot. Bakit kailangan pag-aralan ang kasaysayan ng experimental psych? Nasa syllabus kasi. But kidding aside, ang mas malalim na dahilan bakit kailangan pag-aralan ang kasaysayan ng experimental psychology is para alam natin kung bakit tayo nag-experiment in the first place. Because experimenting in psychology is a present-day activity. Anong gagawin mo para maintindihan mo bakit natin ginagawa yung kasalukuyan? Anong gagawin mo? Pag-aralan mo yung kasaysayan. That's a very basic principle to remember. Pag naintindihan mo ang iyong nakaraan, lilinaw ang iyong pangkasalukuyan. So in psychology, anong pangkasalukuyan natin? Nag-e-experiment tayo. Bakit tayo nag-e-experiment? Saan galing yon? Pag-aralan natin yung kasaysayan. Titingin tayo palikod. Anong nangyari beforehand, kaya tayo nag-e-experiment ngayon? Actually, itong principle na to, may personal life application din yan. 'Di ba? Kung gusto mong maintindihan yung mga nangyayari sa iyo ngayon, anong gawin mo? Pag-aralan mo yung nakaraan mo. Pag-aralan mo yung history mo. For example, bakit ka anxious? For those of you na mayroong anxiety attacks, bakit ka ganyan? To answer that, tingin ka sa kasaysayan mo. Ano nangyari sa iyo in the past that may explain why you are highly anxious today? Bakit mababa ang self-esteem mo? 10 tao na nga nagsabing gwapo ka, hindi ka pa rin naniniwala, feeling mo ang pangit-pangit mo. Baka may nangyari sa past mo that explains bakit ka ganyan. Or bakit ka laging busted. 5 tao, umamin ka ng feelings mo, lahat sila, yung 5 yon ayaw sa'yo. Gusto yung ibang tao. Bakit? Baka meron kang maling ginagawa kaya ka nababusted, alamin mo bakit mo ginagawa yung mga maling bagay na yon. May kinalaman na naman yan sa history mo. Kaya sa tingin ko, dito tama si Sigmund Freud. Marami akong disagree kay Freud. But one of the things that I highly agree na sinabi ni Freud is malaki ang part ng history natin in understanding who we are today. So you can apply that in the personal level. You can also apply this in further understanding why we do experiments in experimental psychology. So ito yung mga pictures na malaki ang kinalaman sa kasaysayan ng experimental psychology. So isa-isahin natin yan. Let's start with this picture. If I ask you ano tong picture na to, dapat ang una mong maiisip is the word philosophy, because this is the official symbol of philosophy, the thinking man. Diba? Lagi nyo nakikita yan, no? May taong nakaupo, nag-iisip. Official symbol yan ng philosophy. Now, during those times in history, philosophers were the first ones to be interested in the study of the human mind or the human psyche. So noon, under philosophy, merong mga grupo ng mga tao na ito yung interest nila. They want to study the mind or the psyche, but during those times, ang tawag sa kanila philosophers, hindi psychologists. Kasi nung mga panahon na to, wala pang term na psychology, so wala pang psychologist. So ang implication niyan, it used to be that psychology was a branch of philosophy. Specialization lang siya ng philosophy. So nung unang panahon, pag sinabi mong philosopher ka, at ito yung area mo, gusto mong pinag-aaralan yung mind, yung psyche, ang tawag sa'yo, you are a philosopher of mind. Hindi ka tatawaging psychologist. Okay? So once upon a time, dapat yung mga estudyante ng psychology alam to, no? Diyan tayo nagsimula. We started being philosophers. Now, during those times, those philosophers na interesado sa human mind, meron silang method na ginagamit in answering their questions about the human mind. Ang tawag sa method nila is introspection. They answer their questions using, self-reflection, logic, common sense. So hahanap sila ng sulok, uupo sila, pupwesto sila ng ganyan, pag-iisipan nila yung sagot sa tanong nila about the human mind using the following. Again, ang tawag dyan, introspection. Kaya kung mapapansin niyo, no, when you answer questions in life using introspection, madalas yung sagot mo madrama. Pwedeng pang quotable quote, pang Miss Universe question yung sagot. Like for example, ito yung conclusion ni Socrates about the human mind. Sabi niya, the soul, like the body, accepts by practice whatever habit one wishes to contact. O, di ba ang drama? O, ano naman ang conclusion ni Plato? In every man, there is an eye of the soul which is more precious far than 10,000 bodily eyes, for by it alone is truth seen. Ito naman yung conclusion ni Aristotle sa pag-i-introspect niya about the mind. We must no more ask whether the soul and body are one than ask whether the wax and the figure impressed on it are one. So mapapansin nyo, ganyang klaseng mga conclusions yung maibibigay mo using introspection. So ang lesson dito, kayo mga psych majors, kapag magdi-defend kayo ng thesis, sana towards the end of your thesis, hindi ganyan yung mga conclusions nyo. Kasi sigurado ko, ipapaputol ko ang daliri ko pag hindi to nangyari. Kapag ganyan ang conclusion nyo towards the end of your thesis, bagsak kayo. Because these conclusions are created via introspecting. And as you will learn later on, tayo mga psych majors, when we make conclusions, hindi tayo nanggagaling sa introspection. Pero warning lang, no? Hindi ko sinasabing mali ang introspection. Hindi natin dinidemonize ang introspection. Because introspection is still a very valid way to answer certain questions about life. In fact, in history, introspection was so powerful, naging foundation yan ng mga sumusunod na field of knowledge. Naging foundation yan ng philosophy, religion, mathematics, law, and the early part of psychology. The earliest psychologists were also introspecting. Okay, so hindi natin minamaliit yung introspection, valid way pa rin yan of answering certain questions. It's just that if you're functioning as a psychologist, as a psych major, hindi ka ini-encourage na mag-introspect kasi nga iba yung method natin. We use the scientific method. Now, let me just pause here and I want you to realize something. Science is not the only way to know the truth. Kasi sa society natin ngayon, ang pinupuntahan nating method in answering questions is science. Lalong-lalo na, we call ourselves modern society, 21st century. Dapat daw ang mga tao scientific mag-isip, which means lahat ng tanong natin, science ang sasagot. I disagree. I hope, listeners right now, you would realize na may ibang way pa ng pagsagot ng mga tanong sa buhay other than science. Pwede ka rin mag-introspect, pwede ka rin mag-divine revelation, kaya sinulat ni Lord ang Bible. The Bible gives us answers to certain spiritual questions na mahalaga nating masagot. Kaya tayo nagbabasa ng Bible. Pwede rin gamitin yung nature to help you answer certain questions, or kahit yung mga personal experiences mo or intuition mo, pwede mong gamitin to answer some of your questions. Lalong-lalo na yung intuition. Sino dito may experience? Sumagot ng tanong using intuition. Feeling mo niloloko ka. Only to find out later on, totoo ngang niloloko ka. O, diba? Nasagot mo yung tanong na niloloko ka ba o hindi. Ang sagot mo, niloloko ka. Using your intuition at totoo nga. So may mga times, reliable din naman yung intuition natin. Bottom line, hindi lang science ang pwedeng gamitin to answer questions in life. Ayokong mag-fall kayo sa tinatawag nating scientism. This is a philosophical idea that says na dapat lahat ng pinaniniwalaan mo based sa science. Nakakita ka ba ng ganyang tao? Or baka ikaw mismo ganyan? Yung linyahan mo is, hindi ako maniniwala sa isang bagay kung walang data. Hindi ako maniniwala sa isang claim kung walang journal article na nagsusupport niyan. Hindi kayo dapat ganun mag-isip. That's scientism. The thing is, reality is so complex na hindi lahat ng bagay kayang makapture ng scientific method. Ang reality natin may physical, may spiritual. Ang kaya lang naabutin ng scientific method is yung physical world. In fact, the scientific method itself, ginawa yan for the physical sciences. Kaya bagay na bagay yung scientific method sa zoology, sa biology, sa geography, so on and so forth. Lahat ng bagay na physical ang pinag-aaralan, dyan bagay ang scientific method. So ang application yan, huwag mong gagamitin yung scientific method kung ang pinag-aaralan mo is something spiritual such as the nature of God. At maraming gumagawa niyan. Merong mismatch of method. Yung question niya tungkol sa spiritual, gagamit siya ng scientific method, tapos gagamitin niya yung results niya to prove that there's no God. Nag-scientific method ako. Hindi ko naman nakita yung presence ni Lord. Therefore, I conclude there's no God. Mali yan. Kaya nagkakaroon ng atheism. Kaya maraming nagiging atheist. Gumagamit ng scientific method sa area or sa realm na hindi naman dapat niya ginagamit doon. Nagigets nyo? Remember, when you talk about spiritual things, spiritual beings, hindi talaga kakasya ang scientific method dyan. Such as God. God is invisible. God is spirit. Sabi dito sa passage ng 2 Corinthians, may dalawang klaseng bagay, seen and unseen. Yung seen, yan yung mga physical things, these are the temporary things in life. Kayang-kaya ng scientific method yan. Pinag-aaralan dyan, bato, animals, halaman, whatever physical is seen. Pero yung mga bagay na unseen that are existing, totoo, na sa reality, pero hindi mo makikita. Those are the things that are eternal. So, wag mong gagamitin yung scientific method kung ang pinag-aaralan mo, mga bagay o mga beings na eternal. Wag mong i-conclude na walang Diyos, walang angel, walang demonyo, simply because hindi pinakita sa'yo ng ANOVA mo. Does that make sense? Pero meron akong challenge questions among psych majors watching right now, hindi ba ang experimental psychology vina-violate yung principle na sinasabi mo? Di ba sa psychology, ang main focus natin is the psyche, which is the spirit, which you said is invisible. Bakit natin pinag-aaralan yung psyche using the scientific method in experimental psychology? Aren't you contradicting yourself? Ang sagot, hindi. So, bakit natin pinag-aaralan yung psyche using experiment kung hindi naman pala natin nakikita yung psyche? At ang experiment is a way of the scientific method. Ito yung tatandaan nyo, no? If somebody asks you that question, experimentally studying the psyche works. Pwede pa rin gawin because the psyche has expressions in the physical world. Although hindi natin nakikita yung psyche structurally, hindi natin nakikita yung mga kanto ng psyche, anong itsura ng psyche, kasi nga spirit yan, invisible yan, meron namang physical expression yan sa physical world. At yun ang hinuhuli natin in experimental psychology. The physical expressions of the psyche in the physical world. Tulad ng heart rate. Diba? Yung heart rate, tumataas, bumababa yan. Depende kung anong emotion yung nafe-feel ng psyche. Pwede ring blood pressure. It also reflects the psyche's emotion. Kapag yung psyche nagmumura, yung brain activity ng psyche, diba? Brain activity is a manifestation of the psyche's presence in the brain. Actually, controversial yan May mga nagsasabi, yung brain activity raw yung gumagawa sa psyche. But modern research in the neurosciences have already debunked that. Posible kasing meron pa ring psychological process kahit na wala ng brain activity. Basa kayo ng mga literature on near-death experiences, makikita nyo yan doon. Huhulihin natin yung pag-iyak. Diba? Pag ang tao umiiyak, may nangyayari sa kanya psychologically. kapag lumalandi yung tao, kapag tinutulungan niya yung ibang tao, these are the things. Ito yung mga manifestations ng psyche in the physical world at ito yung pinag-aaralan natin in experimental psychology. So, posible pa rin na gumamit tayo ng experimentation kahit na yung object of study natin is the psyche using this framework. Got that? Now, let's move on to physics. During those times, isa ito sa mga pinaka nirerespeto na field of knowledge. Talagang maraming tao gustong maging physicist, maraming mga tao mataas ang respect sa field ng physics. Ano mga pinag-aaralan dyan? In physics, you study the physical laws of the earth. Dinidiscover mo yung mga physical laws that are at work right now. Pag-aralan mo yung motion, gravity, friction, atoms. One of the big names in physics is Isaac Newton. Isa yan sa mga fathers of physics. Some examples of the laws na na-discover ng mga physicists, yan. Sabi nila, kung wala itong mga physical laws na yan, reality, the physical reality will not exist. Lahat tayo mamamatay. Lahat tayo, our life will not be possible if these laws are not presently at work. So, paano natin na-discover yung mga physical laws na yan? Physics made that possible. And the method of the physicists in studying these laws, paano nila na-discover yung mga laws na yan? Gumagamit kasi sila ng scientific method. Kaya sila nagpauso niyan eh. Sila yung isa sa mga unang field na nagpauso ng scientific method. And usually, they do this scientific method via experimenting saan? Saan nila ginagawa yung mga experiments nila? Sa kanilang mga laboratories. Now, let's move on. Enters Wilhelm Wundt. Dito na ngayon papasok si Wilhelm Wundt, asawa ni Mrs. Wundt. So si Wilhelm Wundt, isa siyang philosopher na ang interest niya is studying the mind. So anong tawag sa kanya? Philosopher pa rin. Kasi nga wala pang term na psychology noon, so hindi pa siya psychologist. So he was a philosopher who is interested in studying the mind, na-interest siya or na-inspire siya ng physics. Na-engage siya sa field ng physics. Sabi niya, gayahin natin yung ginagawa sa physics. If physicists discover physical laws of the earth, let's discover the psychological laws of the mind. And at the same time, if physicists discover these laws in their laboratory, bakit hindi natin gayahin yung mga physicists? Gumawa rin tayo ng sarili nating laboratory. Let's discover psychological laws inside our own laboratories. Kaya anong ginawa niya? Nag-establish siya ng first psychological laboratory in the world. That can be found where? In Leipzig, Germany. Kaya we can say na si Wilhelm Wundt, siya yung considered as the father of experimental psychology. Diyan na nagsimula yung experimental psychology as a field. Pinag-aaralan natin yung psychological laws inside a psychological laboratory. Kaya ang laki ng naging impact niyan sa field of psychology. Fast forward, dahil sa meron na tayong psychological laboratory, nagkaroon na tayo ng lisensya. Nagkaroon na tayo ng lakas ng loob para ihiwalay natin yung mga sarili natin from philosophers. Yan yung naging natin, no? Go signal or license to consider ourselves different from philosophers. Ano pinagkaiba natin sa mga philosophers? Ang mga philosophers, though they study the same thing, which is about the human mind, iba sila ng method. Gumagamit sila ng introspection. Tayo mga psych majors, gumagamit tayo ng scientific method in understanding the mind. Kaya, during that time, yung psychology, naging na siya, naging hardcore science na. Experimentation is the essence of science. Psychology does experimentation, therefore, it's considered a science. Kaya doon na tayo nagkaroon ng pangalan na psychology, the scientific study of the human mind and mental processes. So halos lahat ng textbooks na basahin mo, ang definition ng psychology, hindi mawawala yung term na scientific, which is very important. Kaya yung mga psych majors ngayon, huwag niyong kakalimutan whenever you define our field, don't forget the word scientific study of the human behavior and mental processes. Kasi may ibang fields of knowledge naman na tungkol din naman sa mind, tungkol din naman sa human behavior, pero hindi siya gumagamit ng scientific method. In that case, hindi yon psychology. Psychology is a field of science. Again, bakit? Paulit-ulit ako, gumagamit tayo ng scientific method in understanding the psyche. Got that? So, that's also the reason why, in connection to this, no, lahat ng university sa Pilipinas, iba ang psychology department sa philosophy department. Imagine niyo kung hindi nangyari to, hindi na-inspire si Wilhelm Wundt, anong implication yan? Lahat tayo ngayon, philosophy majors. Got that? Now, enters the picture si John Watson, isa sa mga sikat na names in the history of psychology. Siya yung sumulat ng tinatawag na Behaviorist Manifesto na ang title ng article niya, Psychology as the Behaviorist Views It. Yan yung naging official start ng behaviorism if you remember your theories of personality lesson. Nung sinulat ni Watson yan, lumakas yung tinatawag na behaviorism. Actually, nung sinulat ni John Watson yung article na yan, ang purpose niya is to expose certain problems that he is seeing in the field of psychology. At ano yung problema na nakita niya sa psychology? During that time, marami pa rin mga psychologists na nag-i-introspect. Ayaw na ayaw ni Watson yon. Kaya galit na galit siya nung sinulat niya yung Psychology as the Behaviorist Views It. Sabi niya kasi, di ba, science na tayo. Meron na tayo sariling identity. Nagsa-scientific method na tayo. Pero bakit marami pa rin mga psychologists ginagaya pa rin yung old ways natin? Hindi nagsa-scientific method, nag-i-introspect pa rin. Kaya kung basahin mo yung article niya, meron siyang pinariringgan kung kanino siya galit. Sino ba kasi nagpauso na kahit psychology ka or psychologist ka, nag-i-introspect ka pa rin? Yan yung pinopromote ng mga Freudian psychologists. Siyempre, ang namumuno dyan si Sigmund Freud, kasama ng mga kampon niya. Sila Carl Jung, sila Adler, sila Erik Erikson, sila Karen Horney, so on and so forth. Kung titignan mo yung method sa ginagamit ng mga psychoanalyst, hindi naman sila nagsa-scientific method Very close yung ginagawa nila sa introspection ng mga philosophers. So sabi ni John Watson, hindi maganda na yung mga psychologists patuloy na nag-i-introspect, quote and quote. Tulad nga nila Freud. Bakit? Ano ang inherent problem? Kapag patuloy na mag-i-introspect ang mga psychologists, nagkakaroon tayo ng subjectivity in the field. Kung sasagutin natin yung mga psychological questions using introspection, we will not agree to a single answer to those questions. Magiging bias yung sagot natin, magiging subjective, which is not a good thing to happen if we claim our field to be science. Kasi ang science dapat objective, ang science dapat precise, ang science dapat eksakto. Guess what? Those things will not happen kung patuloy tayong mag-i-introspect. I-demo ko how subjectivity comes out kapag nag-i-introspect ka lang. Halimbawa, ito yung question mo. Who makes the best music? Tapos lahat tayo mag-introspect. So tingin nyo, iisa lang yung sagot na maa-arrive natin? Of course not. Yung iba sa inyo sasabihin, ang best music is Beanie. Yung iba sasabihin, Taylor Swift. Yung iba sasabihin, SB19. Yung iba sasabihin, wala naman dyan sa pilian na binigay mo yung best music. Wala tayong common na sagot. Imaginein mo, pag nangyari yan sa psychology, may psychological question tayo, tapos lahat ng mga psychologists, iba-iba yung sagot, it will compromise the field. In fact, in the history of psychology, nangyari na nga yan Dahil sa ginagawa ng mga psychoanalysts, like for example, itong tinatawag nilang draw a person test. This is a type of test that is highly inspired by psychoanalytic thinking. Ang gagawin dyan, ipapadrawing mo yung bata ng tao, and then ang assumption ng mga psychoanalysts, kung paano drawing ng bata yung tao, may kinalaman yon sa kanyang unconscious. So, ang gagawin ng psychoanalyst, i-interpret niya yung mental health ng bata gamit yung drawing na ginawa ng bata. So, i-reliability check mo yan. Magpa-drawing ka sa isang bata ng isang draw a person test, tapos punta ka sa 3 clinicians, A, B, and C, and then ipa-interpret mo, how is the mental health doing? How is the child's mental health doing based on this drawing? Ano makikita mo? Clinician A, Clinician B, Clinician C will say different things about the mental status of the child. Hindi sila mag-a-agree. May kanya-kanya silang mga interpretations. Paulit-ulit na demonstrate na yan sa history of psychoanalytic testing. If I'm going to use psychological measurement language, ang tawag dyan, mababa ang reliability ng field natin in understanding the human psyche. At malaki ang naging consequence yan sa field when people realize that the way we do think in psychology is like this, very subjective, very biased, mababa ang reliability, people began calling our field a pseudoscience. At masakit yan. Kung psychologist ka during that time, tawagin yung field mo na pseudo. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng pseudo? Kung i-check mo yung dictionary, ang ibig sabihin ng pseudo, peke. Kunwari, hindi totoo. So yung field ng psychology is a pseudoscience, peking science. Nagkukunwaring science. Sinasabi natin na scientist tayo, sa totoo, hindi naman talaga. We are quack doctors. Dahil nga, we do things that way. We still introspect. And I hope you understand kung bakit galit na galit. Bakit galit na galit? Ito, nang iinit ang ulo ni John Watson sa introspection. Because of what this process is doing to our field. Kaya yung galit niya na yan ngayon yung nag-push sa kanya para kunin yung ballpen niya at isulat yung psychology as the behaviorist views it. Also known as the Behaviorist Manifesto. So, ang summary lang naman ng article, kung basahin mo ng buo, if you have time, I highly recommend basahin ninyo. Ang summary niyan is, pinapakita niya sa article kung paano dapat mag-apply ng psychology. Fill in the blank niya yan. Ang psychology dapat ganito, blank. Sinagot niya yan sa article niya. Actually, first paragraph pa lang amoy mo na kung anong gustong mangyari ni John Watson sa psychology. Anong ginawa niya dito? Talagang in-establish niya yung identity ng psychology. Psychology is what? An experimental branch of natural science. Kumbaga, parang nilevel niya yung psychology sa physics. Nilevel niya yung psychology sa biology. Nilevel niya yung psychology sa medicine and all the other hard sciences. Prediction and control of behavior daw yung goal ng psychology. Introspection forms no essential part of its methods. Diyan pa lang sinabi na niya, itigil nyo na yung pag-i-introspect. And then he continues in another part of his paper, the time seems to have come when psychology must discard all reference to consciousness. Ang pinariringgan niya dito, the psychoanalytic movement. Kasi yung movement na yan mahilig sa consciousness. Let's study the subconscious, anong laman ng unconscious mo, so on and so forth. Ayaw ni Watson yon. Itigil na raw yan. When it need no longer delude. Those are very heavy words. Mabigat yan. No longer delude. From the word delusion. In a way, tinawag niyang delusional. Sino? Sila Freud. Kayo mga Freudian disciples kayo. Mga delusional kayo to believe that psychology must be concerned with consciousness. Itigil nyo yan. That's what he's saying. Kaya sa tingin ko, kung kakausapin mo si John Watson, tapos gagamitan mo siya ng mga psychoanalytic concepts, iinit ang ulo sa iyo niyan. And then he's gonna say, don't you psychoanalyze me. Kasi nga sa pananaw niya, yung psychoanalysis na yan, yan yung sumisira sa field natin. Kung bakit tayo natatawag na mga pseudo-scientists. And later on, nakakuha ng puwersa si John Watson, maraming naniwala sa kanya, hence, behaviorism. Aralin nyo na lang sa theories of personality yung behaviorism, some big names. Nandyan si B.F. Skinner, Ivan Pavlov, so on and so forth. Alright? So, in summary, ang sinasabi ni John Watson, para iligtas natin yung psychology from being called a pseudoscience, we need to act like scientists. Eh, di ba yan yung claim ng psychology, science tayo? Oh, therefore, para patunayan nating mga scientists tayo, we need to act like scientists. And there are two behaviors na dapat ginagawa ng mga scientists. Number one, dapat ang focus lang natin yung nakikita. Something is that is observable. And in the context of psychology, behaviors yun. Pag-aralan natin yung mga bagay na nakikitang ginagawa natin. Pagmumura, pagnanakaw, pag-iyak, pagiging aggressive. Let's just focus on behaviors. Yan lang dapat ang topic sa psychology, behaviors. Kaya nga tinawag na behaviorism. Number two, kung gusto natin maging scientist, paano natin pag-aralan yung behaviors? Dapat experiment. Huwag na tayo mag-introspect. Itigil nyo na yung dream analysis nyo. Itigil nyo na yung pagpo-projective test ninyo. Itigil nyo na yung pagka-couch therapy ninyo. Yun yung sinasabi ni Watson. Napatagalog daw siya sabi ng mga historian sa galit niya. Kahit hindi siya Pinoy, napatagalog siya. Siyempre, joke lang yun. Pero you get the point, no? We should change in our methodology. Tama na yung dream interpretation. Let's just do experiments in studying the psyche. Kaya nung promote ni Watson yan at nagkaroon nga ng large following si Watson, doon na nag-start yung experimental psychology. Talagang nag-forward na yung experimental psychology. Na in the first place, sinimulan na ito ni, remember, Wilhelm Wundt. Right? Lalo lang na-reinforce. Mas pinamove forward lang ni John Watson yan. Na talagang legit field yung experimental psychology where we just focus on behaviors and we study behaviors in the laboratory. O, kaya nagkaroon na tayo ng mga ganyang popular experiments in our field. Siguro some of these experiments you recognize, no? Nandyan si experiment ni Harry Harlow, nandyan yung experiments ni B.F. Skinner na naging basehan ng theory niya on operant conditioning theory. Nandyan yung experiment ni Martin Seligman on learned helplessness. Nandyan yung experiment ni Albert Bandura on the origin of aggression. Ito yung very popular Bow-Bodal study. Yan. And fast forward, kolektahin mo lahat ng experiments na ginagawa in psychology, kaya nabuo na yung Experimental Psychology Division ng APA. At meron silang sariling journal for that. So if you want to expose yourself to the different experiments done in psychology, ito yung mga pupuntahan nyo. Punta kayo sa journal articles nila and then hanap kayo ng mga experiments that interest you and then pag-aralan ninyo. Ang isa pang impact ng ginawa ni Watson, no, on making psychology a hard science, yan din yung reason kung bakit lumakas yung puwersa ng psychological statistics. So para sa mga estudyante na ayaw ng statistics, sino dapat sisihin nyo? Ba't kayo may statistics? Si John Watson. Kasi nga, para magawa yung gusto ni John Watson na focus lang sa behavior, experiment lang yung gagamitin, you have to quantify psychological variables. Kailangan mong sukatin. Kailangan mong gawing number. And of course, kung may number, may statistics. Kaya nabuo yung psychological statistics. Pinag-aaralan natin yung t-test, pinag-aaralan natin yung one-way ANOVA, ANCOVA, so on and so forth. Yun. Kasi sa bagong psychology na pinopromote ni Watson, bawal na yung kwento. Sino yung pumapayag sa kwento? Sila Freud yan. Kokolektahin niya yung data mo via your kwento. Tell me about your mom. How was your relationship with your dad? Kamusta yung family dynamics nyo sa bahay? Yun yung mga itatanong sa ni Freud. Pero kung talagang hardcore scientist ka ng psychology, hindi kwento yung kokolektahin mo. Anong kokolektahin mo? Data in the form of numbers. How many times a week do you smoke? Gaano katindi yung addiction problem mo? Let's measure it through a number. Para later on, pwede nating mas statistically analyze yan. Got that? Doon nang galing yung psychological statistics. So in closing, as we end this lecture, ano yung mga big ideas that we can learn in connection to this summarized history of experimental psych? Let me share two big ideas. Number one, sana na-realize ninyo na talagang sa field natin, identifying causes is very important. It is so important, I would say, na hindi lang ito isang subject na kailangan mong kunin in college at psych major ka. Identifying causes via experiments is also a life skill. Life skill yan. Nakakaganda ng buhay. Kapag marunong kang mag-experiment para ma-identify mo yung mga causes ng mga effects. Diba sabi nga ni John Watson sa article niya, ano dapat ang goal ng psychology? Its theoretical goal is what? The prediction and control of behavior. And for you to do that, para makapag-predict ka, para makapag-control ka ng behavior, anong dapat alam mo? Alam mo kung paano maghanap ng cause papunta sa mga effects. Knowing a lot of cause and effects is a life skill. Lalong-lalo na sa field natin. Do you agree? Kapag sa field natin, you're a psych major at magaling ka sa experimental psychology, alam mo yung causes, psychological causes of certain psychological effects, marami kang matutulungan. Halimbawa, depression. Kapag alam mo yung cause ng depression, ano mangyayari? Magkakaroon ka ng power to help people prevent depression, or for those who are already depressed, matutulungan mo sila how to lessen depression. Bakit? Kasi alam mo saan galing yung depression eh. Ganon kahalaga yung ability natin to identify certain causes of certain effects. Gumaganda yung buhay natin. Natatanggal natin yung pangit tulad ng depression. And I hope you realize that when you really master this skill as a psych major, you know how to identify causes of certain effects. Guess what? It makes psychology very practical. Malaki ang naitutulong sa pang-araw-araw nating mga buhay. That's the value of experimentation, knowing the cause of certain effects. Kaya maraming gustong mag-psych major eh. Kaya maraming tao mahilig sa psychology eh. Bakit? Because it's very relevant. It's very practical in our everyday life. In what way psychology is very relevant to our everyday life? It teaches us how to identify causes for certain effects. Kaya sa tingin ko, kung i-connect natin yung opening verse natin kanina, this is the reason why God reinforces experimenting. Kahit sa Bible, maraming instances, may mga Bible characters nag-experiment about spiritual things. And God encourages that attitude. Kitang-kita yan dito sa passage. Oh. You can test me on this. Magbigay ka, spiritually, magbigay ka ng mga bagay, ibalik mo yung mga bagay na kay Lord, ano yung magiging effect niyan? Ibe-bless ka niya financially. Diba? This is one of the instances in the Bible where God really reinforced experimenting. By the way, baka i-overstretch nyo to, no? Hindi ito ginagawa sa lahat ng pagkakataon in the spiritual realm. Okay? Kasi meron din tayong commandment in God's word that you should not test the Lord your God. Tama rin naman yon. But in this particular instance, when it comes to finances, when it comes to resources, God allowed experimenting. Subukan mong huwag magbigay versus subukan mong magbigay for His kingdom, you will see the difference. He promises that. Kaya itong passage nito may laman na spiritual promise eh. Nakatalagang kapag nagbigay ka, naging open ka, tama yung attitude mo in giving to God, blessings will follow. Try for yourselves. Tapos kwento nyo sa akin kung ano nangyari. Number 2, another lesson we can learn is experimental psychology defines truth based on measurable data. Yan yung attitude na dapat meron ng isang psych major na nag-aaral ng experimental psychology. Na yung mga psychological claims na ma-encounter mo, lagi mo siyang hahanapan ng numerical data. Again, hindi ko sinasabing this is the only way to the truth. But if you are doing psychology, if you are wearing your hat as a psychologist, ganyan dapat ang mindset. Meron kasi nasabi sa akin claim about the psyche. Sinasabi mong totoo yung claim mo, anong dapat mong attitude as a psych major? Hingin mo yung data na susuporta doon sa truth claim na sinasabi ng kaibigan mo. Kaya for those of you na madalas na na-expose sa mga psychology test na yan, sino dito? Talagang expose sa psychology test na yan, taas ang kamay. Tapos sasabihin sa'yo na psychology test, ganyan, no? Flirting is an effective way of reducing loneliness, depression, and relieving stress. Bago mo paniwalaan yan, if you are wearing your psychology hat at nag-experimental psychology ka, ano dapat ang gagawin mo dyan? Hingin mo nasan yung data. Patingin ng experiment na ginawa na ito yung naging conclusion. Ngayon, kung walang data, walang scientific data na maipakita, huwag mo munang paniwalaan na totoo to. Does that make sense? Ganun dapat tong attitude kapag estudyante ka ng experimental psychology. Alright? So, yun lang yung maikli nating summarized history of experimental psychology. If you have any questions or comments, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa comment section. Sasagutin natin yan if we have time. Sir Howard here. God bless everyone. Hanggang sa susunod na lecture. Bye-bye.